All right, Hafeez, my name is Ash Singh. I am a Singaporean investor, right, that's made a lot of money from durian farms. Can you tell me, Hafeez, what you're working on and how I can help you? Go ahead.
Yeah, hey, Ash, nice bumping into you and in this lift. And
Yes.
since you're going to the top floor, let me just
Yes.
share with you a little bit on what I'm working on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, I heard you have durian farms, and I heard you have a really nice bungalow in
Yes.
one of the
Yes.
upscale areas in Singapore. So can I just ask you a question? No, I'm not sure if you ever worked with interior designers designing your home before. And
Yes, I have.
if you have, you would have understood that in every building and interior space, the materials is a very crucial aspect to that space. But the process of sourcing for these products, especially the nice finishes such as tiles and fabrics, it's a very convoluted and inefficient process. It's just too old school. So having worked with international designers and manufacturers for some of the hospitality projects in the Maldives and Oceania, my co-founders and I have experienced firsthand how painful this simple process of specifying just a simple piece of cloth material. It can take up to weeks just to get approvals, especially for international projects where you are dealing with international suppliers and teammates. We also see that designers spend up to 80% of their time doing project management and documentation, which they really don't like to do. So we believe these processes of specifying should only take minutes, and all communication and documentation should be kept in one place. That's essentially what we are working on. It's called Matterzoo. So it's a zoo filled with materials where design professionals such as architects and interior designers can search, they can specify interior and architectural materials from all over the world, they can visualize their space, and even manage their workflows with teammates and clients through collaborative tools. Think of Canva, but for design professionals like architects and interior designers. So the interior design industry is at $225 billion and growing at a rate of 15% year on year. So based on data we've got, there are an estimated 135 million designers out there using digital tools to assist their work every day. And there's so many suppliers, especially in upcoming manufacturing regions such as Southeast Asia, that are yet to be digitized. So we have 50,000 materials in our database currently. Our mission is to democratize the entire process of sourcing and access to suppliers, and also to be the ecosystem where every designer, be it a professional designer in large firms to a freelancer, they can get connected to manufacturers and artisans from anywhere. At the same time, we can support them in documentation and managing their suppliers and clients. So we're looking at to raise a $500,000 fund pre-seed on a safe note to help speed up our product development efforts. Where we aim to build plugins into 3D visual tools that designers use every day. And also in acquiring partnerships with design studios and design institutions leading up to our seed round towards the end of the year. So what do you think?
Great.
Ash?
Very interesting. I wish I had your tool when I was building my last house, because, I felt like everything that I was buying was very similar to the people that live next door. So selection matters, especially when you go upscale. So Hafeez, I would love to chat to you more. So thank you, Hafeez, for this pitch. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I want to give you some feedback, as always, in the chat. Keep the feedback coming. This is what makes it real and powerful for the founders. So, Hafeez, I want to talk to you a little bit about the pain point, right? I just want to fully understand, and I'll tell you again what I was thinking as you were pitching, okay? This helps you kind of understand an investor's perspective. When I think about interior design today, what you're saying is that interior designers typically have a very small set of suppliers, right? They're typically localized. So let's keep it simple, okay? I want to sell you. I'm an interior designer, and I'm designing your house. I have to give you tiles, and I have 2 to 3 tile suppliers in Singapore, right? Okay. And what I do is I come to your house with copies of the tiles, and I show them to you, and you have to choose from this selection. Correct?
Correct.
Right? And so the suppliers, if they're all buying from the same manufacturer, it kind of creates this dilemma where everything is pretty much the same. Is right, Hafeez? Is that correct?
Yeah,
right.
I think most of the time for designers, they always rely on the same few guys that they work with.
Yeah.
We've spoken to a lot of designers, and they said, even though the relationship is important, but they just want to know that there are other alternatives out there. So they want to be able to have that option to compare, so that they can be more transparent to you.
So the selection is low and the price is always fixed too, right? Because there's only 3 suppliers. They always say like, it's going to cost this much. And so what you're saying is that through your platform, you're able to increase the selection criteria, right? And you're also able to offer things at a better price. Is that correct?
Definitely. I think what we can do is by providing more transparency, I think that you can actually deter a lot of like other suppliers from overinflating their prices, because they do know sometimes that the designers will keep coming back to them. So by having a platform like this, even the clients can even come to our platform to actually have a look. But of course, designers, they always have connections with suppliers, and they get special incentives for supporting certain suppliers. So those are some of the things that we're actually looking into, down to invoicing, where the designers can actually pass on some of the, they can help to manage some of the invoices directly to the clients that they are managing.
So tell me about, selection increase, price is more competitive. You said 80% of project management. I was a little confused on how you save 80% of their time on project management.
So basically, I think most of the time, I think designers, for interior designers and architects, they don't, of course, the bigger guys, they leverage on like tools, productivity tools. They have like in-house tools that actually help them to manage some of these projects. But when it comes to like small, medium-sized and freelance designers, they don't really have a solution out there. The only ones that they will probably use are the ones that are really existing, that probably like Notion, or which, like most of the time, even the interior designers, architects, they don't come from the tech industry. They don't come from the marketing industry. So they don't really use this kind of tools as much. So we aim to actually have all the processes built into our product, where we kind of like, help them to, make them more efficient in terms of like having all the things in one place, and you just simply share it to your clients.
But is it, because for me, I'll tell you where my mind was. I didn't know if it was time from a sourcing materials perspective and a design versus the total project management, because those are 2 different companies then. Do you get what I'm saying? So, having a digital platform where there's more selection and obviously a better price, and then being in a position where the way they source materials, because they also want to know, because you need to get the tiles to the location at a specific time, right? How you manage that, is also a bit of a headache. So, on the front end of the process of the project, is that correct, Hafeez?
Yes, definitely. So in terms of like more of the design side of things, but of course we want to be able to lead them on towards our solution, where we have all these built-in tools that we can hopefully monetize. Because building a marketplace, we do understand it might be a bit tougher to actually,
because I want to know where, as part of an investor, I wanted to know where this business is going. Is this going to be kind of a localized Alibaba, Lazada kind of platform versus the project management, right? Which one are you going to do well? So that's kind of, from an investor, I wanted to know where he's going. Okay. Right. And that's why I'm asking the question, because, if you're looking for investment, right, I kind of want to know which angle you're going to go into, because I feel like they're kind of 2 different products, like just getting the selection and price. And I think there's a beautiful product there. I think with tools like Pinterest and House and all these elements, there's a beautiful opportunity for people to have intelligent, smart recommendations in terms of designs, okay? Based on your mood and how you feel, right? Hafeez, so like, for instance, most of us, when we think about design, see, selection is one component, but I think also design and recommending designs are important, right? Based on the person, right? So I'll give you an example. When I got married, somebody came to me, and I was in India just, for a family vacation, and I met this random spiritual leader. Okay. And he comes to me and he says, would you like some advice from me? And I was like, sure, well, I don't mind. I'll get some advice from you. Right. So we got talking, And he turns to me and he says, "Are you married?" Right? And it was obvious because I was wearing a wedding ring then. But yeah, I'm like, "Yes, sir, I'm married." And he came to me and he said, in your married room, make sure that the color of the walls are lime green so you never fight. Okay? And I'm like, "Okay, I'll do that." So I did that, and it's been 10 years, but what I'm saying is, like, getting the right recommendations based on the person. I mean, maybe that's a bad example, but, like, do you get what I'm saying? Knowing the person,
yes.
what their needs are, what colors jive with them, what materials jive with them. I feel like this is missing, right? I've built a home. I've customized a home in Singapore, right? And, you're spending a lot of money on a home in Singapore. Houses aren't cheap in that country, right?
Yeah.
You want to make sure that when you think about selection, it doesn't add a lot of time. The reason why home designers don't want to give you too much selection is because they don't want to waste their time. Here's 6 tiles, choose one. But if you give them 1,000, then it's going to take does that make sense, Hafeez? This is a very important thing, right?
Definitely. I actually spoke to a couple of guys who are in the field, and they actually told me, like, you don't have to give too many options.
Yeah, you don't.
For clients, yes, you can't do that. But for designers, sometimes you need to have a lot of options.
Yes.
So for us, our ICP would be more for the designers in this case.
Exactly. Right? You have to make it very, direct, right? I had the human beings are simple beings. Okay? And so when you were speaking, the idea of increasing selection was not exciting to me. But what was exciting is that if you had something intelligent that understood the couple and the kids and where they're from, right? I'm a Canadian, when I built my house in Singapore. I was 28 years old, Canadian, Hong Kong educated, of Indian descent, married to a Singaporean, you know what I mean? Like, there's elements, there's my hobbies and everything. And you come up with a design based on the human, right? Based on, all of these elements, how they feel and the materials. And so there's a story to tell, Hafeez, right? When you spend all this money on a house, you don't want to have the exact same thing everyone else is doing because there's no story to tell, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone likes the story to be told. Hafeez, in my house, I built a Lego wall, okay? Basically, we took a base plate of Lego and we put it there, and I had young kids. And I had spent all this money on all these other things, but when people came to my house, everyone wanted to know about the Lego wall, right? Which cost me nothing, right? So it's the same idea, right? When I think about how designers are going to evolve, the selection and price, and, we talked about timing and sourcing, I want it to be about people feeling that this designer has designed something that's unique to me, right? It's about me, right? And that's the world we live in, right? If we think about social media and the world we live in today, unfortunately, it's all about me, okay? And I want to be able to tell the story. And I also want to make sure I don't pay too much, okay? And I also don't want to be a bad customer to Hafeez, right? I want to make decisions quickly, okay? In this process, if the project is taking twice as long because, he's got to share it with his wife, and then the wife has to share 1,000 selections to the mother-in-law, right? That doesn't, these are things that you need to think about, right, Hafeez? I want to make sure that it comes out there, right? And I feel like that is the way it needs to be, okay? Because it's less about the individual materials and how expensive they are. It's about how all of the materials in a house come together, tell a story about the individual, right? And create an environment that, your spouse, your kids, everyone's going to love, right? And I feel like the technology is now there where you can put together these environments, okay? And ultimately it's going to be cheaper too, right? I like this better, and the tiles are a little bit cheaper, but it looks better, and why not, right? Do you know what I mean? I'm happy to save money. Is that correct? Right?
Yes.
I don't know,
So I think for us, what we think is, I mean, like down the road, we definitely, like having projects where you can actually just put in some of the selections that you have there that you can actually personalize to your clients. And at the end of the day, we want to be the entire project to be able to be visualized in that space so that you can save time. And even for the supplier side, the whole idea of it is so that suppliers can get some of the information about who's been using their products and who's been tagging their products in their project boards.
Sure.
So that's the whole reason why, I mean, at least like you said, like why are we going down that project route? Like why are we doing the project management? Because I feel that it's inevitable. They need to come hand in hand, like together. In order. What do you think, Prof?
Yeah, I mean, my view is because I was, the project management thing is this kind of a secondary thing. The first thing is when you come in 2022, okay? I think the days are gone when people, and you see this is in these home renovation shows, right? Some of them actually now, the more sophisticated ones on HGTV, which I'm sure you watch, right? Everyone in Singapore loves that the HGTV channel. But you have old school episodes of shows where they would come with the tiles, and now the new ones actually have everything kind of drawn out. And the newest ones are the ones that actually have it photorealistic, right? Yeah. And I feel like when you kind of go in 2022, you should have a photorealistic visual of the space of your interior design work that is designed based on inputs from the people, the environment, and it's unique to the person every single time, right? And so I believe that's where we need to be in 2022. Right. And in Singapore, people can pay for it. Right. Like the money is there. So being able to build it up like that, I feel is important, Hafeez. Right. But that's what I would see. You come in and then once they like it. So it actually makes the selection time even faster. Right. Because you need to see everything together. Right.
Yep. Definitely.
And creating those environments is something that I think is something, I just feel like that's kind of where the world needs to be, right? I would be more excited about that versus just giving people more regular selection, right? Like the tiles in your background, right? I want them to see the holistic element and what the story is, Tell me the story about what was inspired by the walls and the flooring and the lighting and everything like that. So when people come over, I have a reason to brag. You know what I mean? Everyone needs to brag these days, right? And I feel like interior design, everyone's home proud, right, Hafeez? Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Right?
Everyone wants their own, like residential clients are definitely the most demanding guys.
Exactly. But this can solve that problem, right? Give them the story, give them bragging rights, right? Give them what they want, right? Because people are home proud and they're spending a lot of money. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So you're looking for $500,000, right, Hafeez?
$500,000 to build up some of the visual tools, because we plan to have plugins into some of the 3D tools that designers are using.
Sure.
Because we need to be able to visualize. Like you see the tiles behind me.
Yes.
The idea is to actually to have, like you said, the textures. Textures needs to be presented on top of the space so that everyone can understand, this is how the space is going to look like. So the idea at the end of the day, of course, the physical aspect of it is important, but the digital aspect is just as important.
Yes. Because what happens, Hafeez, is like from a workflow perspective, okay? And I don't want to inundate everyone on this, but what I'm going to do is the designer will usually create the 3D model, correct? They're the ones that are going to get it right. And you have the tiles and you have the selection of all these things. What I hope that you can do is also be the intelligence in between, Hafeez. Does that make sense? Right? And would you like me to pitch this idea to you? Because I want to talk about this intelligence piece, right? Because I feel you're there. You have all the elements there. And I think, if you're going to raise some money, let's own the intelligence space, Hafeez. All right.
Yes,
please, you get to be anyone you want now. This is your chance to be, anyone you would like to be. You'll be the investor. Okay. and let me pitch you the idea. Go ahead. Over to you.
Hi, Ash. Nice meeting you. Nice bumping into you in this live. So
My
yeah,
pleasure.
I just found a chest full of money in my under one of my tiles under my house.
All right.
So I was just
Great.
doing some renovation. I saw there's a lot of money there. So I'm looking to put this money somewhere. So
That's
I heard
excellent.
I heard you
Yes.
have a new company that you're working on. Maybe you can share with me.
So, Hafeez, yes, my name is Ash Singh, and I'm part of the Matterzoo team. As you know, in terms of interior design, the process has not evolved at all over the last 20, 30 years. Typically, when you want to design a house, you have an interior designer that comes with a selection of wallpaper. You choose one of 6. You have a selection of tiles. You choose one of 20, and you go through the process of designing your home. We believe in 2022, the world can offer a lot more. So what our process is we have actually created one of the largest databases in Singapore of materials, whether it's tiles, wallpaper, lighting. And what we do is we work with interior designers. And what we do is once they have their 3D model set up, we work with them, and with a little bit of information about their customer, their location, their interests, we have a very powerful engine, right? Machine learning engine that's going to develop a design that's unique for the individual. So instead of wasting time selecting tiles, we actually go back to the customer and we ask them to select which story they want for their new home, right? And so we map it out, we explain why, and suddenly they have a much richer experience and a better way to become a more home proud, right? I want to show you how it works, right? And what we're trying to build. We're looking for $500,000 to elevate and build this engine out. And our hope is that we improve the interior design industry, not just in Singapore, but around the world. I'd love to chat to you more about this over a kopitiam in Singapore.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, like it's definitely a different. I've never thought of it that way. Like just go straight to the point. Like tap on the emotions.
It's emotions.
Not so much.
It's an emotion. You watch HGTV, right? Like there's everyone needs that, and I feel like combining those elements and creating that engine that spits out, different models and everything like that. And I feel like that's going to be really, really powerful for what you're doing, right? And I feel like all the pieces are there for you. And I feel like having spent enough time in the space, there's a beautiful opportunity for you to become kind of that super interior designer intelligence, okay? That happens to have more selection, okay? That because in order for your engine to work, you need more selection, right? And if you can do all this and you're saving the interior designer time, okay? And you're saving them money, okay? So one thing I missed in the time, because I was running short on time, I'd say, listen, not only do we give them a story, but the interior designers are going to save 20, 30% of their time. And they're also going to be 10, 20% more profitable from a materials perspective. Okay? Right? And that's beautiful. You know what I mean? Because then you kind of have a win-win-win, right? You're doing all these elements and suddenly there's a radical shift. This is disruptive, right? That's, when we think about an elevator pitch, it's always good for that disruptive angle to come through, right? And this is what I sensed would be that disruptive piece. Now, I know I've introduced a couple of new concepts, Hafeez, but I want you to think about them, right?
Yeah,
let's lock this down and see, how this works, right? And great to connect. We always have a lot of love for our Singaporean startups, so look forward to meeting in person as well. And thank you again for joining. I know it's a little bit late your time, but congratulations on Matterzoo. Thank you.
Thank you.